As a freshman in high school, a new friend and I were being bullied a bit by a loudmouth senior. Mostly teased for my still high-pitched voice, it was embarrassing. My buddy and I came up with a plan one day to throw 2 large cups of soda on this guy while he was outside with a bunch of buddies during the high school bowling league. Well, we got our sodas, we walked outside. Before he could say a word, I called his name, he looked, and that was when we were supposed to throw our soda. Well, my buddy did just fine. He doused the guy. Me? I froze. Totally froze. Well, thank God there was a teacher there who sorted this out, and as all of his buddies were laughing at him, the name-calling ended forever. Now, I'm not recommending violence of any kind ever. This was 1975, and it was not smart. I say it, though, to illustrate that fear is indeed a paralyzer. As a young adolescent, I was scared to death of this guy, the kind of fear that's at the heart of the gospel today. Peter teaches us about fear and how fear can freeze and debilitate every part of us. We have all these different fears, fear of death and failure, fear of dependence. Remember the anxiety of the pandemic or of a natural disaster that struck where you live, or a diagnosis of a loved one or yourself that was beyond belief. In the gospel, Jesus gives us the consolation that he speaks more than any other. Be not afraid. And yet we are. Peter teaches us to identify the common fear we all have and ask Jesus to save us from fear, to deliver us from all anxiety and grant us peace in our day. Maybe Peter is called Rock because of encountering the very real fear of what discipleship entails, the fear that is connected to faith. In so many ways, Peter's fear is our fear. He has a fear of death. He's fearful that he would go under and die. How we live in a culture today that is deathly afraid of death. We fear growing old. People on TV lose their jobs at 50. Multi-billion-dollar companies sell us lotions and potions to make us look young, and yet we age. With Christ, we walk with more wisdom, though, self-knowledge and trust to a promise whose hope will never disappoint. St. Peter also had a tremendous fear of failure. St. Peter was afraid that he would drown and go down and not be able to do what Jesus said. How often that is our motivator, waiting on the sidelines, playing it safe. And yet the spiritual life involves risk and conflict. Remember Jesus' words, I've come to set a fire. And that fire could mean conflict and even failure. Christ conquered the failure of the cross, though, and that great hope is indeed ours, too. You know, I met that former bully a couple of years ago at a wake. We talked, and he said, hey, I'm sorry for giving you a hard time back in high school. Accept my apology. And of course, we shook hands, and I said, hey, one day I'll buy you a soda to drink. Fear was no longer freezing me. Mercy and forgiveness changed everything. Sometimes we're feeling like we will drown. That's inevitable. So is fear. So are storms. What remains, though, is Jesus' consolation. Be not afraid. Come follow me, and I will give you rest.